Hello again. This is Math 2232 coming to you from the College of DuPage, and the title of this lecture is High Stakes Assessment Timing and High Level Protocols Update for the VCM Scenario. Please be attentive while watching this video. By way of introduction, some students have asked questions about how are we going to do high stakes assessment, and I promise to address them, and hence this video where I address it. Now, as you know, our class is a VCM, and with this modality there are constraints. These are manageable, but they're non-traditional as for sure. The pathway described here is the one we've forged. I was a test pilot on this, and I've flown it many times. It is viable. I describe it at a high level here. As we get closer to the high stakes assessment, as those times draw nigh, we'll talk about more detailed protocols. But herein we answer the questions of when and how these will be administered. Begin with when. There's an update to the academic calendar, and that is there will be no classes on the state holiday, which is now Election Day. That is a recent Pritzker decree. But when is midterm? Well, the first 8-week classes end on Saturday, October 15th, and the second 8-week classes begin on Monday, October 17th. So the midterm falls smack dab in between them. Accordingly, what's going to happen is our midterm testing window will run from Monday, October 10th, through the close of testing center business on Saturday, October 15th. The final exams occur at the College of DuPage from December 10th to December 16th. And so our final exam testing window is going to run from the 10th through the close of testing center business on the 16th. This is the answer to the question of when. These are the windows during which you may test. Now, the College of DuPage does publish a testing final exam schedule, and but it turns out for the VCM and the way we're doing it, this cookie cutter schedule doesn't really apply, although VCM students may test during these times, providing they are able to schedule it accordingly. And again, I think you could be able to schedule it during these times if that is your desire. Let's move to the question of where. Well, there are 6 possibilities. There are brick and mortars testing centers where you may take these high stakes assessment. There's one in Glen Ellen, there's one in Addison, there's one in Carroll Stream, there's one in Naperville, and there's one in Westmont. Now, and you also have an opportunity to use the virtual testing center. Now, these will all, in every case, be password protected tests that are available on Blackboard. And these tests will be proctored in the brick and mortar testing centers of your choosing, or if attendance at a brick and mortar center is not possible, then via the virtual testing center. I strongly encourage the brick and mortar approach if possible because it's actually easier on all fronts and it's safer than going to the grocery store. Now, students in all cases will be responsible for executing the tests within the testing window and showing their accommodation letters to the proctors. If you are using the brick and mortar approach, you just understand their hours and show up when they're open and take the test. The VTC approach is more constrained, and again, the student, you, are responsible for competitively trying to schedule this. And that's one of the reasons it's much more flexible using the brick and mortar approach. Now, because of the VCM and VTC protocols, non-accommodated test times will be constrained to be 110 minutes. That's both in the brick and mortar and in the VTC. Let's talk about how you do this. And most of the how is going to really revolve around the VTC, because if you go to a brick and mortar, you just know when they're open and you show up. Okay, and again, I encourage you, if possible, to use a brick and mortar. This is the greatest flexibility for students and the minimum administrative effort on your part to execute the test. But I do recognize that some students will potentially have circumstance requiring the virtual testing mechanism. So I will enable this mechanism, but it's going to be the student's responsibility to schedule their individual exam with the VTC Center and within the testing interval that I've prescribed. Now, the folks that do this virtual testing center have won industry awards for how creative they were in doing it. So it does work, and it works because of the hard work of people such as these. They are professionals, and they're really into academic integrity. That's why we have this proctoring happening this way. These are professionals. Okay, so I am in the process of completing the form and confirming the information, and I am directing you actually with this video that you can do this if you need. I'm also recommending that if possible you do the brick and mortar, and I will be available through text and cell phone while you are taking these tests, but a lot of times I'm teaching and so I'm multitasking, but there is that availability. Now I am going to submit the full class roster because I don't know who's in which bucket, so I'm submitting the full roster, but I will tell you at the outset there's not going to be room for everyone in this because you're competing with other classes as well, and they have a very limited staff and a limited schedule. And you have to reach out to them in order to schedule that if you are wanting to do the VTC. And so you want to do that sooner rather than later. The way you do that is you go to this URL. You may not be able to do this. You might have to copy this and paste it in, or perhaps type it in. But you go here and then you click this button that says register now, and then you're in what they call the registration blast, and you're working through. Now they do have sessions normally that are scheduled, and you register via registration blast. I just showed you, and these are the times when the virtual testing center is open. During peak times they may schedule additional hours or not, but be aware you are competing for these slots, and any accommodations must be shared and vetted with the VTC during the scheduling. Again, the scheduling and execution of this test is the responsibility of the student. And you'll have to have a setup, and so your setup is so the proctors can monitor you remotely. There's a 2-device method. You'll be zooming here, and you'll be doing your test on a PC. And this is a picture. The guy duct taped his Zoom-enabled monitor so that they can watch him while he takes the test. In closing, now more than ever, time is precious. Each day must count. Do the math, it will make you strong. And now more than ever, take care of yourself because self-care is important, and take care of each other because we're all in this together. God bless you all, and take care.